how do you convert a circuit from the time domain to the S domain? Well, the first thing you need to know is how the different elements convert. Resistor is always going to be your favorite. In all the domains, resistors just have the same value in the time domain as they do in the S domain. For an inductor, the value of the inductor is going to be S times L, the inductance, plus you'll have to add a little something if there was any current in the inductor at 0 minus. So you'd add a voltage source that has the value of L times IL of 0 minus. And if you have a capacitor, it becomes 1 over SC, and then with a voltage source if it had any voltage at 0 minus. And for other things, you would take the Laplace transform. So this will be easier to understand with an example. Okay, so let's say this is our circuit. We have a resistor of 125 ohms. We have an inductor of 0.1 henries. We have a capacitor of 4 microfarads. And our current source is a rectangular pulse of 6 amps for 1 second at time t equals 0. So we're going to need to get that as a function. So our current as a function of time is 6 u of t, so the unit step function, it comes on at time t equals 0, but then it goes off at time t equals 1, so minus 6u of t minus 1. So that is the function that looks like this. It is 0 until it gets to 0, and then at 0 it goes up to 6, and then it's at 6 until it gets to 1, and then it loses 6 and it's back at 0. Okay, so since it had no sources before time t equals 0, then IL of 0 minus equals 0, and VC of 0 minus equals 0. So that means we don't have to add the little extra voltage sources for the inductor and the capacitor. So how does this get transformed into the S domain? Well, first we have to take the Laplace transform of our function here. So we need the Laplace transform of 6u of t minus 6u of t minus 1. So if you look up on the Laplace transform table, the Laplace transform of the unit step function is 1 over s. So this becomes 6 over s. And this would be minus 6 over s, except for the time shift. That time shift adds an e to the minus s to it. So it's minus 1s from this minus 1 right here. That's what the time shift does. So the unit step function is 6 over s, and the time shift adds the e to the minus s. Alright, so our current source is now 6 over s minus 6 over s e to the minus s. We know our resistance doesn't change. That's going to remain 125. Our inductor is going to be, it was 0.1 henries, and we know an inductor is SL, so it'll be 0.1 S. And you gotta watch because my S's look just like my 5s. Alright, and then our capacitor we look, our capacitor is 4 microfarads, and capacitors will be 1 over SC. So let's figure out what that would be. So it'll be one over S times 0.004. Now let's figure out what 1 over 0.004 is. So 0.004 is 4 over 1,000, so it's 1,000 over 4, so it should be 250. $250. So this is equivalent to 250 over S. Okay, now the nice thing about the S domain, the whole reason we want it, is now everything acts like a resistor. So now we have 6 over S minus 6 over S e to the S is our current source. We have a resistor of 125 and an inductor of 0.1 S and a capacitor of 250 over S. And then we could do something like current division if we wanted to find the current through one of these, or we could find the voltage across one of them or something like that. The question I was asked was, how do you change it to the S domain? So now it's changed to the S domain. And then there are other things that you would do with it from here that I'm not going to do in this video. But I will do another example of transforming to the S domain. Okay, so let's say that we have this circuit which has our voltage source is 125 for t less than 0 and 0 for t greater than 0. And I want to transform this to the S domain. So I did have a source before t equals 0, and so I need to figure out what is VC of 0 minus and what is IL of 0 minus. Well, IL of 0 minus, let's remember what these look like under DC conditions. So if it had been this way for a long time, then the capacitor is going to be an open circuit, and our inductor is going to act as a short circuit. So this was 125 and this was 12.5. And so our current is going to be V over R, or 125 over 12.5, or 10 amps. Our capacitor, so we need to see, is our capacitor, so that's that's the current before 0 minus, and that is the current through the inductor, so that's IL of 0 minus. Now the capacitor is in parallel with a short circuit, and a short circuit has 0 volts. So VC of 0 minus equals 0. And IL of 0 minus is 10. So now if we convert this to the S domain, after time t equals 0, we don't really have a voltage source anymore. So that is not going to be anything. So we have 125 and our capacitor is 1 over SC, and C was 0.8 millifarads. So 1 over 0.8 S, and our capacitor did not have any voltage before, but our inductor did have a current before, And so our inductor is LS, and L was 2 henries, so that's 2S. And our voltage source that's going to go with that is going to be LIL of 0 minus, and so that's 2, and IL of 0 minus was 10, so that's 20. Now notice the orientation, 20 volts. The orientation has the minus pointing up, and that's because of this direction of the IL. So if you look at our inductor right here, if the current is going in this direction, then it's going into the negative side of that voltage source. So now this has been transformed to the S domain.